Hi guys, welcome to the show. Look who I've got here. It's Todd Boyle and Dominic McCauley. How you doing?
Very well.
Good.
Doing
How are
good,
you?
thank you. Good morning.
I was going to mention this, Dom, but I thought I'd leave it till now. Love the moustache. I mean, you got a moustache thing going there, haven't you? I usually got a beard,
Yeah, I
didn't you?
do. I do. Yeah, a little bit of.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Yeah, very good. I don't think I've only known. I'm sure I've known you with nothing or a beard. I've never seen the moustache. I'm not sure.
It varies. It does vary, but yeah, today we're just mustache strong.
But we're not going to talk about facial hair today. We might do, depending on what our list is. But Todd's got plenty going on there anyway, hasn't he? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Todd's got a brilliant beard. Well kept. You know,
Thank
He
you.
very
be,
nice.
he beats us both on that one. Um,
Guy.
so what we're well, I don't know what we're going to call the title of this, but the basic concept of this is whether we prefer it's albums where we prefer side B to side A or
Yes.
two to one. Now, just to let everyone know on this channel, we invited all the Iridiates today, but they wasn't intelligent enough to make the show. All right. So
This is the cream of the crop right here. Cream of the crop.
They weren't idiot enough to do it.
yeah, they basically either couldn't make it, they found it too hard, and they couldn't think of enough. Um, and they would have probably cheated if they just wanted to be on the show and just lied. So So we're the only ones that actually are here to talk about this. So
It's nice and cozy. I like it.
it is, it is. So we're going to go around the houses, and we're going to give a quick minute, which I said offline, just to how hard you found it or how you came to your list and all that. But I mean, it's just one rule, I suppose, and we spoke about this that has to actually physically be a side A and side B because there's probably a lot of albums, well, we know there are on CD especially that didn't have that. So
Yeah.
I went, oh, well, I'll tell you how I made my list up. But we basically had to have a side A and a side B. And yeah, it's what you prefer. And again, it's subjective, isn't it? So, anyone, it could be, you could like lots of side Bs, but I'll let you know how hard I found it in a minute. But we're going to go with Dom first. This was Todd's idea, by the way. I do apologize. Todd's idea to come up with this one. So, all the
Well
idiots,
done. I think this is a great conversation.
it definitely is, and it can be quite a difficult one, as you can see by the idiots ain't here. So a lot of them. So Dom, look, just a quick minute on how you found it, and how you found the list, and how hard it was or easy, and how you went
Well,
about
when
it.
you first mentioned it, I kind of thought, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty in, 70s, 80s, 90s albums that I could go back and go, oh yeah, it really was side two. Because it happened a lot, because a lot of times the side one was overloaded with the singles, which are maybe generally poppier and, overplayed or whatever. And then side B had more, sometimes longer tracks or kind of that epic ballad kind of thing. Those
Mm.
are always left to side two. So I think this is a great conversation. Now, I've gone a little bit different. I think when this was first presented, it was just assumed that it would be all, classic bands and albums. But I just had a week or two where I saw one too many men of a certain age complain about how there's no good music anymore. I want to go back to the 80s, blah, 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 talking about the Grammys. And so, I had enough of it. There is great music out there. You will not hear it on the radio. You will not see it on MTV anymore because that doesn't happen. You have to read blogs. You have to, listen to things on Lee's channel, for instance. Plenty of bands that you may never heard of that have just fantastic music. So I've gone with, for my majority list, I've gone with stuff that was released in the past 2 years,
Oh, excellent.
just to bring some new names into the cause. Now, I did make sure that all of these have been released on vinyl, and they were all have side A and side B. But that's just the way it happens. I just went through my iTunes and I was like, so many, I like maybe one or two songs on side one, but then side B is just perfect, just just 5 or 6 tracks that just unskippable ones. So that's what we're going with.
Very
So
good.
my first one, I will say, is Miles Kennedy. This was his last album, and it was called The Art of Letting Go. Tracks 6 through 10 are the B side, if you will, on the vinyl. Um, you know, some albums are just stronger towards the end for whatever reason, and this one is definitely one. I like maybe 2 or 3 songs ish too, maybe on the first side, but on the second side, I think it's just fantastic. A lot of times they put the more, I don't know, not experimental, but not quite writing those, 4 minute hooky songs. So a lot more to explore, a lot of shades. I even like that. There's a ballad called "Eternal Lullaby" that I love, and I'm not a big fan of ballads generally, but this one is just fantastic. And it just towards the end, it goes into that kind of epic-y thing that we love so much, Lee, and probably Todd as well. And I would put side B up against anything he's done with Slash or Ultra Bridge. I think it's really that good. So, yeah, I would definitely check out side two of Miles Kennedy, The Art of Letting Go.
Well, I'm a bit shocked. I don't think I've ever heard you talk about Alter Bridge. I don't think I have.
Well, no,
Or
I haven't. I still have bad feelings about Creed, so it's kind of hard for me. But I keep telling people on this channel to give Winger and Europe and bands like that a try. So I have to kind of I have to do what I say. So I've actually been listening to them. I first heard Miles with Slash, and I really loved his voice. I know you prefer Alter Bridge, obviously, Lee, but I really loved him in Slash. I think he's got some really great tunes. Again, I've got the Guns N' Roses thing as well that I had to get over, but good good music is good music, and there's definitely some Alter Bridge stuff, especially early ones, that are a bit too post grunge ish thingy, but a great voice and yeah, a good songwriter. I love when these guys who are frontmen for bands they surprise us with solo records because you just think the guitar player is probably the main songwriter in the band that they're in or whatever, so maybe they but when something like this comes along you realize that the singer has a lot to do
yeah.
with the melody and the songwriting of the bands that he's in. So this is a good example.
Thank you very much, mate. A surprise, but very cool indeed. Thank you very much. Right, Todd.
That one's just for you, Lee.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Right, Todd. How did you get along first of all with choosing?
Well, it was difficult for me. I'm a little bit different as I didn't have when I was starting to first listen to hard rock and metal music. I didn't have a lot of money, so I would listen to the radio the most. I wouldn't go out and try a bunch of albums and stuff. It was all just the radio. And so that's really what got me into it and typically the radio songs, except for some obvious, there's probably some exam or uh, chance times when it's not true, but usually the radio songs are the ones I really gravitated towards. So whenever you listen to an album, those are typically on the front side of it. So the albums are typically front loaded if you think of it that way. And but I do agree that once you start getting into it over and over, then yeah, you find a lot of gems on side two and so forth. But even then, it is much more common to think of the side A as being the more interesting
The A side.
yeah, yeah. So and they try to front load it. So it was a little difficult, but once I started getting into it and I found a few, then you start to think, oh, this I really do like this one. So I've got a pretty good list now, but when I started, it took a little bit to get there. But so I'm going to go with these in chronological order, kind of like you said, Lee, and I'm going to start with the oldest one first. I'm going to go with "Let There Be Rock" by AC/DC. All right, so you got
Good
four
choice.
songs on each side. Um, I don't think that their opening song is as strong on this one as some of the other albums that they've got. Go
Totally
Down.
agree.
It's kind of a fun little song, but it doesn't really, you wouldn't pick it out as an opening track. And obviously you got Let There Be Rock is on side A, which is, amazing song. And Bad Boy Boogie is really cool. I know that they used to back in the day, they used to do their long solo during Bad Boy Boogie. That was early, early. Um, but when you get to side B, you got Problem Child,
Oh, yeah.
you got Overdose, which that's a deep cut, but I just love that one. It has the riff in that thing. I gotta call it stanky. It's got a lot of tension to the riff, and it's just amazing. I love that song. Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be.
Oh,
Great
yeah.
song.
Classic.
And
Oh,
Whole
yeah.
Lot of Rosie. You end up with
Oh,
Whole
yeah.
Lot of Rosie, which I like a little better than Let There Be Rock. I mean, they're both right up there, but as far as epic uh AC/DC songs, that's got to be one of the best
Mm.
ones. So, yeah, I really did. I always gravitated towards those couple middle ones, those deeper cuts. I think that really makes it for me. So, Let There Be Rock is my first choice.
Well, I mean, it ain't on my list, but I've got to agree with you on that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Great choice.
definitely. And it's funny, we haven't done a show about live albums so much because it was more of a thing back then. But that's a great album, by the way. But I'm thinking about the live versions of those when you're saying
Oh, yeah.
those titles from the If You Want Blood in it, the live album. That Let There Be Rock and a Whole Lot of Rosie are just
Yeah.
the energy in that album was just ridiculous. But that is one great album, and I think a lot of people
Well,
forget about
legend has it.
those.
Oh,
Go
sorry,
on.
sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
it's gone, go on.
Uh, legend has it that when they're recording Whole Lot of Rosie, you know how it just goes on and he's just fucking riffing. That he actually blew out a guitar amp while he was recording at the bit that like the last like couple minutes of it. But they just kept tape rolling. But yeah, it was so fucking electric that it blew an amp while they were doing it.
Yeah, that is a fucking great choice. That Todd, I like that one. That's brilliant. Thank you for that. So I'm like the opposite of Dom with this show today because where I talk about new music all the time, I like the chance to talk about classic stuff because when we get together we can talk about that. So I've sort of like went for probably the more obvious. Well, I don't know if they're obvious to everyone, but I found it quite hard though. I got albums where I was like literally couldn't make my mind up on a lot of them. I was like, I just can't say side B is better than side A because it was just too close. They're all
Yeah.
quite close anyway. There wasn't one on here that I thought that is definitely miles ahead of side A. Because side A's, like you said, are usually the strongest, aren't they? They're meant to be that way. Probably more earlier, like older albums were anyway. But I did find it interesting, but hard. But I think I didn't cheat. I've like it was close, but I definitely was mulling it over and thinking, yeah, I do. Because I left a lot out that I was sort of toying with. So I have got 7 altogether, and we're going to go around the houses I know and see if we can get to those. But I'm going to go oldest to newest. I don't talk about this band an awful lot on the channel actually, but and it is one of the biggest, probably the biggest glam band of the 80s. I suppose it's Motley Crue,
Yeah.
and possibly their strongest album, Shout at the Devil. So, and if you actually look at the side A, there's 6 tracks on side A, but 2 of them are In the Beginning and God Bless the Children of the Beast, which
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but they're more almost intros to songs, aren't they? You've got Looks That Kill and Shout at the Devil, of course. But I was never that keen on Bastard, or Bastard, as you two would probably say. And I don't like cover versions. So you've got Helter Skelter on there as well. Although, for a cover version, it ain't bad. And it's a lot better than shitty Beatles, I mean, the Beatles, who are a classic band. Anyway, sorry, you Beatles fans. So you flip to side 2, you got Red Hot, And how good is that track? Too Young to Fall in Love, Knock 'em Dead Kid, 10 Seconds to Love, and the brilliant Danger on the end.
Yep.
So I'm like, that is just every song I love that on that second side. And there's no
Agreed.
intros, no 1 minute things. So September the 23rd, I actually wrote the date down, I don't know why. September the 23rd, 1983, that was released. So yeah, great album, isn't it? Great B-side.
Great choice. Great choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Knocking
I
Dead
didn't think
Kid and
about
10
that.
Seconds to Love, especially for me, are just
Yeah.
amazing.
Do you like that one, Todd?
I didn't think about that one, but yeah, I mean, because I always think of the first two tracks, or
Yeah.
well, track 2 and 3
Yeah.
are so great that you don't think, well, I just kind of skip by that one. But yet, or not, when I was trying to evaluate this.
Mm.
But yeah, when you think about it, there's some really strong, and right in a row too.
Oh yeah.
So good pick.
That's my first pick, guys.
That's a good one.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, it's back to me, huh?
Yep.
Here's a band I love that, or I think one of the UK's most underrated bands. This is a band called Cats in Space. Now, their name doesn't do them any favors. I'll give them that. It's kind of a silly name, and you would even think that maybe they're like a comedy act or something, but they're not. They are in the great tradition of kind of prog pomp. So you've got some Styx in there, you've got Queen, you've got Toto at their heavier side. Always great harmonies, and their albums have been really consistent, fantastically so. But the one from last year, Time Machine, um, just happens that all my favorites are on side B. Um, I wish that more people would know this band or would hear them or give them a chance so they got more. I think they're kind of put into like a corner of like pop prog or something. I don't know. They can't really break out of that. But I mean, if Queen's one of the biggest bands of all time, and these guys definitely take a few cues from Queen. But as I said, Styx and all that kind of great pump era. Just fantastic stuff. So yeah, Cats in Space, Time Machine from last year. It's just a terrific album. But yeah, side B is definitely just strong, just unskippable from track 6 to 11. So there you go. Cats in Space.
You're right about them getting that label, because I listened to the album. I liked it. I really liked it, but I didn't get, I suppose, as with a lot of albums now, I didn't get a lot of time with the album.
Yeah.
It was nothing like I expected it to be. I thought it was going to
be. Oh, yeah, exactly.
Prog. Just thought it was going to be full prog. And then when I listened to it, it was almost like like you said, classic 70s rock with a tiny bit of prog, maybe.
Yeah, I would say there's a little bit in there, but that as much as Styx as prog, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's a good choice. Excellent choice, mate. Thank you. Right, Todd, what you got?
Is that cats like felines?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cats in Space. Yeah.
It's got about 10 records, and
I'm a huge Queen and Styx fan, so that sounds like something I'm like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. At least check it out on YouTube or something, and I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised.
How you said this is fairly within the last couple of years? This new one came out
last year.
This one came out last year, 2024. Time Machine is the last one. Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right. My second one is from 1982. This is a Canadian band. I don't think that they did too much in Britain, but I'm a huge Triumph fan, and this is Never Surrender. There was a couple of options. I was considering this, or Thunder 7 is also, I think, a bit stronger on side B. But when you look at side B here, obviously you got World of Fantasy is on side A, and Too Much Thinking's a good rocker to start with. But really, when you go to side B, you got Never Surrender, which is huge. You got When the Lights Go Down, which is one of their heaviest. It's one of my favorite Triumph songs, but it's just a heavy.
Me too.
It starts out with you would like it if you don't know this song, Lee, because it starts out with a slide guitar, kind of southerny kind of feel, and then it just goes into this really heavy, nasty riff. and it's a great song. And then Writing on the Wall, and then this epilogue at the end's a little just a guitar solo, essentially like a bluesy guitar solo. Oh, it's just amazing, just amazing. So, and it's less than 3 minutes long, but my God, it's so good. So yeah, I mean, I think that this one is definitely the stronger of of the two between those two albums. Although Thunder Seven is a great album too, so I could have picked that as well. But when I got to looking at this, I thought, yeah, you got it. If you have Never Surrender and When the Lights Go Down right in a row, you got to pick this one. So this Never Surrender for a Triumph is my second pick.
Thank you, mate. No, I mean I've heard bits of Triumph, like because they're a big band, but obviously, like you said, not in this country. But I suppose it was like a bit of the money situation, like you said, Todd, at the beginning. It was like either this or that. It weren't a choice really back then. So,
Oh yeah, you could only afford maybe
oh,
two records a month or something.
yeah, something like that.
Got to
Yeah,
make your choices.
that's why they're so ingrained in your brain, isn't it? You just they're there all the time. Thanks for that, mate. So my next choice is 1984 from 1984, not the 1984 album, by the way.
Although there's probably an argument for
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I toyed around with that one, but just in case anyone's got it right. This probably wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have chose this to be my B-side favorite probably back then, but it is now.
Oh, good.
And I was trying to think. There was another choice I was trying to battle myself with. This is it? I preferred side B now because of the. I think someone mentioned it earlier on. Just overplayed of some
Yeah.
songs. Yeah. So I think that's the case with this because I think looking at this album, back when I was a kid, I probably would have preferred side A, but now I'm definitely not. So Scorpions, Love at First Sting. So
Yeah.
now there's some great tracks, obviously. On side A, you've got Bad Boys Running Wild. I love that. The next song, it almost reaches the Into Sandman territory for me. Like I can never listen to it. Rock You Like a Hurricane. I can't listen to it anymore. It's a brilliant song, but man, I can't play it anymore. You got the brilliant I'm Leaving You. I love that song. Although it does repeat the same lyrics all the way through.
Yeah.
The next one I love, Coming Home, because of the little bit at the beginning, and it's just a minute. But the next song just is one of the worst songs I think they've ever written with the same thrill. I can't stand the same thrill. So then you get to side B, you got Big City Nights. As Soon as the Good Times Roll, which I love, which I've grown to love more and more. Crossfire, which is just brilliant, and then Still Loving You, right on the end.
Yeah.
So I think it's just the sheer quality of every song against the up and downness of the side A, if that makes sense. So yeah, Scorpions, Love First Thing. February the 13th, 1984, that came out. So there you go.
Good choice.
That was I mean, I look back at it now, that was like probably my favorite Scorpions album at the time. Or maybe not.
Okay.
But now I'm like, it's different now. Blackout and Love Drive and but it's a great album, but definitely side B for me at the moment for sure. Rocky Like a Hurricane. I don't know if you feel the same way about that. So
Well, I prefer to listen to Rock You Like a Hurricane and Still Loving You again, because Still Loving You was everywhere, and
all right, okay.
and it's long
Yes.
and it's slow,
Yeah.
and so I struggled with that one a little bit.
I agree with Todd. I have to. If I had a choice, I'd probably pick Rock You over Still Loving You.
You know what I like about that?
Right.
That might be an American thing as well. You know,
I think I mean, Rock You Like a Hurricane. I could see the video now, like in the women in the cage, and was it them in the cage and the women outside? But anyway, it was like Mad Max, wasn't it? And they was all in a cage.
Yeah.
But like that, it's a great song, isn't it? It's like one of the best songs they've ever written. But
I'm still sick to death of it.
Yeah.
The only saving grace for me for Rock Out Hurricane is so give her inches and feed her well.
Yeah.
I just wait for that lyric every time. Bitch is hungry.
Yeah. And then they did that song with the symphony orchestra, and you got to think, well, Klaus is singing this thing in front of a symphony orchestra, and he's got to sing "Give Her Inches and Feed Her Well." I'm thinking, cringe a little bit, you know?
I mean, they have
Oh,
been
I love it.
quite, I mean, especially album covers, we won't go into that, but they've definitely been controversial, haven't they? Anyway, all the way,
Well, yeah,
maybe not lately, but through their early career for sure. So, yeah, so Scorpions, love
great
first
stuff.
thing. Yeah.
Good stuff. Oh, I'm glad you guys appreciate my humor as well. Okay,
No, I do. Yeah,
so um, so this is a band with a very strange history. Last year was their third album and third lead singer. There's a band called Art of Anarchy,
definitely.
and the name of the album is Let There Be Anarchy. This is Bumblefoot, the Romfall guitar player, who was in a few different things, Guns N' Roses for a while, I think, and Sons of Apollo and one of those things. Now, the first album, they had Scott Weiland as a singer. They didn't record it together. It was one of those file sharing things, but he definitely put vocals down on everything and melody lines and stuff. So they released that, and then he sued them, saying that he was never a part of this band and it was just guide vocals and they're like a scam band and all this kind of stuff. So I don't really remember what the outcome of that was. Oh, he died.
Yes.
So then so the lawsuit was dropped. And then they got Scott Stapp for the second album.
Yes.
And then they ended up suing Scott Stapp because he didn't show up for gigs and he, committed to touring. And I think he only played about a handful of dates with them in the end because he just couldn't be bothered, I guess. I think they settled out of court for that one. So I'm not that familiar with those first two albums just because I'm not, especially Scott Stapp. I can't have anything to do with him. But this third album, they got Jeff Scott Soto, who's one of the most prolific hard rock singers of our time here. The last couple of decades, he's just has his fingers in everything, but he always sounds great. I really enjoyed this record. Yeah, it's I would say it's a bit prog metal, but on the more melodic side, definitely. Sons of Apollo, who were both him and Soto, that's how they know each other. That's a very kind of Dream Theater-ish kind of thing. So it's a bit toned down on this. I mean, there's definitely a bit of heaviness there, but his vocals are so melodic, it kind of just brings it out of that, kind of whittly thing. So yeah, this is another 6 through 10. I did check, and it was on was it 6 through 10? Yeah, 6 through 10. I want to say famously, when Scott Stapp joined the band, somebody interviewed him. He's like, so it's like Disturbed meets Guns N' Roses meets Creed, and I don't hear any of those bands, at least in this album. I don't know what that second album sounds like. That sounds fucking horrible. But this third one from last year with Soto is quite good. So I would definitely recommend that. First track, the first side, couple songs here and there, but 6 through 10 on side B is no skippable songs. Fantastic stuff. So
yeah,
Art of Anarchy.
It's some real heavy moments in that on the album for sure, isn't there?
There are. Yeah. And I like the balance between that and then with Jeff Scott Soto, because he can't sing heavy, you know what I mean? Like he's always going to be a very melodic singer. So I do like that it brings it back to melody and songwriting rather than just.
It's a bit weird. It's a bit weird with all the Scott vocalists, isn't it? Scott Weiland, Scott Stapp, and then Jeff Scott Soto.
Jeff Scott Soto, you're right. There's a
who's next? Who's next? I don't know. I was trying to think who might be the next one. But no, that's great. It's a good. I quite like that album. Very heavy. Very cool.
Good.
Thanks, cheers. Todd?
Yeah, I liked all three of theirs. And
there's
a lot.
Okay. So you know more about it than I do, really.
Well, I don't know if I know more about it, but I've heard all three. I think they're all pretty good. But have you heard Bumblefoot's new release this year yet? I didn't know if that. He just released one 2 weeks ago, I think.
Just a song or a whole album?
A whole album. I think it's an instrumental, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay. I probably wouldn't be too interested in that, but
yeah, I was thinking about getting it, but I didn't haven't yet, so I haven't pulled the trigger yet. So All right. Do I look like a disembodied head a little bit? You know, it seems
A
kind of.
little bit, yeah. It's cool. In
All right.
Instead of a green screen, it's a black screen.
That's right. Okay.
I like it.
We'll go on to 1984. Just stay on the 1984 train here. I'm going to go with a band that I know you both love because you did a video on them, and we're going to go to Y&T.
Oh yeah.
In
Very
Rock
good.
We Trust, and good stuff on side one. Rock and Roll's going to Save the World's a good track, and Masters and Slaves, and uh, then you get to and you know some of them are okay, you know, the more ballady kind of stuff, and Breakout Tonight's a little kind of weird, you know, kind of rhythm to it. But you get to side B, and then you get to Lipstick and Leather, which is hard rock and uh, memorable song. I still think, you know, somebody says Black and Red or something like that. I still think Lipstick and Leather. And you
Oh
go, Don't
yeah.
Stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go to Don't Stop Running, which is my favorite
Oh yeah.
Wine song. I mean,
Yep.
and then Your Love Driving Me Crazy, okay. She's a Liar's a rockin' tune, fast rockin' tune. And then you got the amazing This Time
Oh,
ballad,
I love it.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm not a big ballad guy either, but This Time is a killer song.
Mm.
I'm sorry, it's just I don't care. It's if you ever did a ballads, um, 80s ballads video, I think that would probably be one I'd put on there. But yeah, so it's really good stuff. This is the first Y&T album I had, and I still kind of have a fondness for it. So, but side B was definitely where it is in this particular one.
Cool.
Excellent, mate. Thank you. This time. Oh yeah. What a song. What a song. I think that was in my top 10, I think. That one. Brilliant song. Thanks for that, mate. Okay, so I'm going. You said like that was 1984, wasn't it?
Yes.
But I was thinking, is he going to choose my one? That's what I was thinking because I'm 1984 now.
Okay.
So I'm going with Rat, the debut album, the full-length debut album, Out of the Cellar. So this is quite hard because there's some great songs on side A. You got Wanted Man, which
Yeah.
is just oh man. I always liked You're in Trouble, but I wasn't. You know what I mean? It just wasn't the same standard
Is
to
it the
me.
jungle beats in the verses? Is that what it is?
Maybe I don't really know. I don't mind the jungle beats; they're fine.
Dun, dun, doo, 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 doo.
maybe. The next one is the same as Rock You Like a Hurricane, Round and Round. I'm like,
Yeah.
no. Now the strongest song, maybe along with Wanted Man, on the side A is In Your Direction. I love In Your Direction. I'm like a deeper cut, but I don't like She Wants Money.
No.
So then you get to side B. You got Lack of Communication. Oh,
Perfect.
dan 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 dan.
Perfect opener.
Then
Another
you got
stank
back.
face riff there.
Oh, you got to do that. Now the next one is I've overplayed probably a little bit, but it's still so epic. It's Back for More, one of their best
Oh
songs.
yeah, I don't get tired of that one. No.
But then you've got the almost answer to In Your Direction, The Morning After, which is just oh,
One of the best.
oh. And then you've got, which is probably my least favorite song on that side, but it's the better version of She Wants Money. It's I'm Insane, which I quite like.
Oh, it's
It's
better.
like,
Oh, for me, it's much better. Yeah.
but it's like when I look at both sides, I look at that the fast song on each side. That's the better song.
Yeah. Can't
And then
remember your number. Can't remember
yeah,
your
it's got a real
number.
groove to it as well. And then you got Scene of the Crime on the end.
Another great closer.
There you go. It's without doubt the best side. What do you reckon, guys?
Well, then you throw in Reach for the Sky now too, right? On the re-release.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course, yeah. That's a great song.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
New song.
That new
Yeah.
song.
Yeah,
Well,
you
not
know,
new.
when you first said Out of the Cellar, I'm like, I can't really agree with that. But now that you've broken it down like that,
Yeah.
you've got the really overplayed song, and then you've got the weakest song on the album on side one. So I can dig it.
Good.
Mine's pretty even. I don't know if I didn't pick it because I didn't.
No, yeah,
I can't argue with you, but on the
yeah.
other hand, I can't say side A is better. So I think they're pretty even in my opinion.
Cool. I was doing
We're
that a
also
lot. I was
goddamn
doing,
lovey-dovey on this. Jesus,
yeah,
let's get
I
into
was,
some arguments here.
I was doing that a lot on all my like,
Yeah.
oh, can I, yeah, but that, yeah, it just beat it to the post. That's my next choice. Okay.
It's either got
Okay.
to be a side A's crap, which is probably not the case if we're going to talk, we want to talk about it, right?
Hmm.
The album is, or the side B is just so good that it outclasses the other.
Yeah, it's just it's comparing the two, and if there's any skippable songs, really, for me at least.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Done.
Okay, so I'm going to 2023 now for the next two. My final two. Robin McCauley had an solo album called Alive.
Yeah. Good.
Um, he's been doing really strong work with Black Swan. Those two records are very good. His first solo record, I think, was 2 years before this one. It was good. It didn't make my top 30 or anything, but it was all right. But I thought this one is much stronger. I think it's the same players from the first album, so they probably gelled a bit more maybe on the second record. I'm just assuming. The songwriting is very good. Again, though, spotty on the first side or the first 5 songs. Not terrible, but just not any barnstormers. But yeah, when you get to the second half, track 6 through 11, which is side B on the vinyl, just unskippable, really great melodic rock. His voice is just amazing that he can still, after all these years. I mean, he's been going since what, 85 or something. It's incredible, and his career has gone all sorts of different places. Macaulay Schenker, and he was even in Survivor for a while, and he seems to have a real rebirth now. And he's another one. I was talking about Miles Kennedy. It's really great to hear these frontmen do solo albums where you think that they were just the frontmen on whatever bands they were in and didn't really contribute that much. But when you hear these songs, obviously he has a lot to do with the songwriting and really stellar stuff. So yeah, Robin McCauley, fantastic hard rock singer. The album's called Alive.
Great choice. Yeah, I have liked. I did prefer, as like you said, that to the previous album. It's got a new one out this year, coming out this year as well, isn't he? So might want to
Oh,
look
is
out
it?
for
Good.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it's a new one. Yeah, great choice, mate. Okay, Todd, we got, mate.
Yeah, I thought that whole album was great.
Yeah,
And I do agree with you that side B is a little more consistent, but I love
Excellent.
pretty much the whole thing. So
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad album by any stretch, but I have to say it's just unskippable side B. Yeah.
right, I agree. All right, so we'll go to 1985 for me. This is a band that didn't hit Britain, I don't think. Doesn't sound like you guys are as maybe, well, Dom probably is because you were probably here at the time. But this is Night Ranger, Seven Wishes.
Your
So this
favorite
album
band?
is their third album. This they definitely tried to go in a more, at least in the hits anyway, they tried to go in a more commercial way because Sister Christian had done so well in 83 and 84. And so they you could definitely hear a difference in this album. So the side one has there was three kind of major hits, I guess. You had Four in the Morning, Sentimental Street, which are both on side A. And in this case, I don't think the radio hits are as strong as some of the other stuff in my opinion here. Um, but Four in the Morning is a pretty good song, but I get pretty tired of Sentimental Street, and it's a ballad, but it's got a lot, it's real keyboard heavy and synthy and stuff, and it's not really my things as much. But then you get to side B, and you got This Boy Needs to Rock, which is a rock in America or Don't Tell Me You Love Me kind of song. They're both fast, a rocking song. I Will Follow You is a good mid-tempo rocker. And then you got Interstate Love Affair, which is a real interesting kind of departure for them. It's got an interesting beat. It was done for a movie, the Teachers movie back in the day. It
All
was
right.
that, and then they put it on here after that. But it's a really killer song. I love that song. And Night Machines are one of their hardest songs that you hear. It's kind of a real, kind of more slower, but it's really got a hard riff to it. And then the final song again, we're talking about. I guess I'd say I don't like ballads, but the ones all my picks are so far have had a really good job with them. But Goodbye, I talked about Goodbye before.
Oh,
It's
goodbye. Yes.
Yeah, that's their final. That was the other hit that they had on the album. But it's my favorite song on the album, and it's one of my favorite Night Ranger songs of all time. So I think side B is definitely more consistent and a little better. I love the whole album, but in this case, it really outclasses the rest. So
Thanks, mate. Much appreciated. I mean,
Yeah, I think that's probably.
go on. Sorry, you're not. You're
I
probably
was just
more
gonna say,
about Night
I
Ranger than
think
me.
that is a perfect example of them front loading, the side A with all the kind of keyboardy,
yeah,
hit songs for the radio kind of thing. Because when you have a band with those two guitar players, man, it's like a waste to just have things like Sentimental Street, even though, we know all the bands needed that ballad to get played on the radio. So they transferred to album sales. Extreme's a perfect example of that, or Mr. Big.
right,
But yeah, we have those two fiery guitar players, man. That's really all you want to hear.
right. And Sentimental Straight is, if you strip away some of the bells and whistles and the synths and stuff, they actually did a version of it for their acoustic live album that they did that starts with just regular piano and has a long piano intro, and then it goes into the song. And it's really kind of a beautiful song when you do it that way. But when you start throwing in all the 80s bells and whistles and try to make it a radio hit, then it kind of drags it down a little bit.
Very cool. I mean, I heard some of the later Night Ranger stuff. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't, it's like with time these days. If you're going back, I think Dom's the same as me. There ain't enough time to go back, is there really? That much? Just one of those
There's so
things.
much, yeah, so much newer music that I just don't know enough of. I listen to it once or twice and think, God, that's great. And then 2 years later, I haven't listened to it again.
I know,
Yeah,
it's mad, isn't it? Well, my next, I mean, I know we're only doing two more, but my next three choices, because, we'll probably do tomorrow mentions, are from the best year in rock and metal, 1986. Nice, by the way, just in case you didn't know. All right. So the first one was released right at the beginning of '86, the 24th of January. It's Ozzy Osbourne, The Ultimate Sin. So
okay.
So I mean, I'm not a massive Ozzy fan. I'm more of a Dio fan, for instance, in Sabbath, and I didn't follow. But this was probably there was the J.K. Lee albums. I love both of them. And especially this one, although this is probably looked at as a bit of a weaker album for Ozzy, but it might just be a timing thing with me when I was 16 years old or 15 at that time. I don't know.
I think that was the general perception a while ago, but now everybody's coming to Ultimate Sin's defense. Now everybody loves it, for the time period it came out and everything. So that's refreshing. Because it is a great album.
Everyone's caught up with me then, I suppose. So.
Yeah, you're a visionary.
although the title track and the opening track, I love the Ultimate Sin. It's so heavy, isn't it? That riff is just killer. And I quite like Secret Loser, but I never really liked Never Know Why that much. It's don't seem to be
rock.
Yeah. I know it's got rock in the title. I know you'd love that, Don. But for me. I didn't really like Thank God for the Bomb that much because I just think it showed Ozzy at his most weakest vocally. I think Thank God for the Bomb. I just like
Yeah,
because
it sounds a bit off, doesn't it?
I've never seen Ozzy as I almost like Ozzy in that really dark Sabbath stage. Sometimes when it really, I think he sounds best. And then Never ain't too bad. But then you get to side B. You've got Lightning Strikes, which is brilliant. Then you've got Killer of Giants, which is epic, isn't it? That is just epic.
Yeah.
I quite like Fool Like You, but I think it's the weakest of the four tracks. They got Shot in the Dark, and no matter how many times I listen to Shot in the Dark, I love that song. I just, and I know it could even fall in the realms of some people, like it's overplayed, but there's some songs that you can play and you just Never. It always seems fresh, and I just love A Shot in the Dark. I just think it's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, side B is my favourite. So Ozzy Osbourne, The Ultimate Sin. So I don't know if that's a bit controversial. I don't know. What do you think, guys?
I can go with that. I think it's
For
the
me
side more
personally, I don't
consistent.
agree, but hey, that's just the way it goes. I think it's a pretty strong album all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
I
like the
can
whole
see
thing.
side B is a little more consistent, I think, and I really like Fool Like You quite a bit. I think it comes on and it's got a kind of a driving, strong beat. Yeah, it's an enjoyable song. And when I think of overplayed Ozzy songs, I never think of Shot in the Dark. You know,
Yeah.
I think that it is, it has been played a lot. It was a popular song, but I just don't think of it as, one that I.
Crazy Train is the one.
Yeah, which I still don't. I don't get tired of it though. I don't get
I
tired of
don't
that.
get tired of it, but yeah, I mean, if somebody's going to
Yeah,
play an Ozzy song, it's always going to be great, because it was the theme to that stupid reality show as well.
Yeah.
So that kind of just took it to another level.
right.
And then, of course, all the ballads from No More Tears just make me want to vomit. But
Yeah.
Road to Nowhere, and oh God, what's a
Mom, I'm coming home.
Mama? I'm coming home. Blech. Hate that stuff.
How do you feel about that song, Doug?
I mean, that's where he really lost it for me. I mean, I do like songs on that record. I do think the track "No More Tears" is great, and I like "Mr. Tinker Train" and a couple others. But yeah, just all those smarmy ballads. Blech. Anyway, move on. I don't have any Ozzy on my list.
I think we're up
Do you
to
like
another.
all those songs, Lee? Did they make you cry?
No, to tell you the truth, I didn't. Well, I'm not a massive Aussie fan. I almost like. I think those two albums, like the JKD ones, were where I really found Aussie, and everyone I think that's mad because of the first couple of albums, of course. But it's
Well,
just the reality of it. I went more in the, like I said, the Dio direction after Sabbath, and didn't really go to Aussie that much. Only them two albums, really. So I've heard them, but they've never really pricked
yeah.
me ears up thinking, oh yeah, I love that or
All right.
anything.
I
So
thought maybe those ballads might really hit you because you like to wear your emotions on your sleeve, Lee.
well, I definitely do. I definitely do. I don't know. I just, how I like about vocals. It's for me, it's one of the most important parts of a band because it's just as soon as someone, I can have the best intro to a song and then the vocalist starts, and I'm like, nah. So I'm like, and Ozzy was never known as the greatest vocalist around, is he?
No, he really fit Sabbath in the first couple records, his solo records.
Well, it's weird.
I
I
think he
wouldn't.
did.
The Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, for instance, the song. No one else could sing that song. I only want to
Yeah.
hear. That is the perfect match for that song. It sounds almost evil, doesn't it? That song.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as he got on and on, now I hear his voice in new songs almost, and I'm like, oh, it's just like I don't know, just doesn't resonate with me at all. So
No.
only my opinion. Anyway, okay,
No.
we're up to number 5, I think, aren't we?
All right. Well, we had a nice Aussie tirade there. So my next one is also from 2023. I famously missed the 2023 wrap-up show due to a train strike, so I'm still smarting about that. But this was my favorite hard rock and heavy metal album of 2023. So it's just nearly a perfect album, but again, one or two tracks on the first side are fine, but they just don't make me excited. Whereas the second half is everything. So this is Jalusic, and it's Follow the Blind Man is the album. If you don't know who Jalusic is, he was in a band called Animal Drive, and then he made Dirty Shirley with George Lynch. Another singer is sort of in the vein of Ronnie Romero, where they kind of came up on YouTube doing great covers of Dio songs and Whitesnake and things like that. So that's where he got noticed. But man, this album just blew me away. I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be that good. Lee, how you always mention about Mob Rules is almost a 10 out of 10 album, except for that one track you don't like.
Yeah,
What's that? Falling Away?
Slipping Away.
What is it? Oh, Slipping Away. Slipping Away, yeah. So this is the same situation. It's a nearly 10 out of 10 album, except one or two tracks earlier on, but I tell you what, track 6 through 11, man, I listened to it again last night because I listened to it to death in 2023. Probably hadn't listened to it much since then. God, it was so good. Every track. I was only going to sample these tracks just to remind myself, but I ended up listening to the whole thing and just fucking rocking. Such a good, his vocal performances on some of these songs are just fantastic. And he has some heavy ballads that I think are fantastic. Kind of those epic kind of ballads. But yeah, this is my highest recommendation. So anybody watching who hasn't heard of this Jalusic album from 2023, really, I would suggest really getting it. And there's a new one coming out, I guess, this year.
Yes,
I think so.
Just had a new single come out a couple weeks ago. So I'm glad that he's continuing with this set of musicians because, boy, first one was just fantastic. So that's my 2 cents.
I found it really interesting with the album as well because it came out and it was having mixed people. Obviously, vocally, you could never say anything about Dino Chalusic. He's just. But I think that album was a real grower, as we like to call them, because it's quite on first 2 or 3 listens, the hooks they're not immediately there. And it's meant to be that way. And if you carry on listening to that album, it just is fantastic, and it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And they're the albums that really you never get tired of listening to because there's so much to digest. There's loads of different styles on there, isn't there? There's a bit of prog, a bit of thrash. There's even like a death growl on there occasionally, isn't there? No,
occasionally, but yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, one of my favorite of the modern times. Probably
I think so. Of all these new generation vocalists, like, I mentioned Ronnie Romero and Eric Grenwell and all these great guys have great voices. I think Jalusic is the closest one to like the next Yorn or something like that, where he's got a lot of shading. Just great stuff. So bigger and better things for him, I hope.
Very cool. Very cool choice. Thanks, mate. Todd, what you got, mate?
I love that whole album. I didn't think there was a bad song on it.
Yeah. Fantastic. Good.
Yeah.
That's even better.
So mine is from, oddly enough, 1986. My last one, or my last
the best year of rock and metal.
Yes.
I've heard that. Yeah, heard that somewhere. And so this one is a band that I like a lot when they are I don't know how to describe it, but it's like it when you know it, right? If you like the song, you really like one of their songs, it's great. But when you don't so much, then it's really not great. And so it's Cinderella, Night Songs. So in this case, you got side A again. You got the radio hits, "Shake Me" and "Nobody's Fool," and I just never loved like "Nobody's Fool" at all. It's one of those songs where his voice is not suited for his high register voice is not well suited for ballads, in my opinion. I didn't like any of the ballads. "Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone." I didn't like that. I didn't like this. "Coming Home" is a good song, but it's a lower register, and I think he does a nice job on that. But so "Shake Me" and "Nobody's Fool" I got tired of pretty quick. And there's some other good songs. Night Songs, the opening track, I thought it was just kind of slow and not really that interesting. I thought I always used to fast forward to get to track 4. I got tired of it. And but side B, "Hell on Wheels," rockin' hard song. "Somebody Save Me" is my favorite Cinderella song.
Great song.
Amazing song. Killer riff and beat, and just kind of it kind of grows as it goes. The riff goes. "In From the Outside" is like an Aerosmith, same old song and dance kind of song. Oh, it's so good, so good. And then "Push Push" and "Back Home Again" are both okay. But the 3 big songs that I love on this album are all on side B. So that's why I went with Night Songs.
Well, I don't think I agree, but that's okay.
I got the
I,
sense that I wasn't resonating with the rest of the panel.
I don't know. I found Night Songs, the actual song. I found it quite refreshing at the time, I think, as well, because it's almost like this medium pace thing. That it was a bit different, I suppose.
Atmospheric.
Yeah. I love the ballad, by the way, but that's just me. I'm a bit of
Me
a
too. And I don't really like ballads, but nobody's fool, man. Oh, since we broke the ties. Oh man. Love it.
But I could see. I mean, really. I mean, you're very similar, I think, Todd, even to Dom in a way, and Mark Clower, I suppose. The rocking part of you is more of the. Do you know what I mean? You hone in on that sort of side more than I do, I suppose. But it's just a matter of taste, isn't it? But it's a great album, by the way, and it's my favourite Cinderella album. I prefer that part to than the bluesy type Cinderella. I prefer the first
I
album.
actually I actually did like it when they went to go more
Mm,
bluesy.
yeah. And a lot of people did. That second album, especially, Long Cold Winter, wasn't it? People love that
Yeah.
album,
Yeah.
didn't they?
I
Yeah,
even liked
so
Heartbreak Station. I thought that was good.
Me too.
yeah.
I like all three of those.
Mm, cool. Okay, my last one of the five. Of course, we're at 1986. This is a bit of us. I think if Mark was here today, this would have been his number one.
Okay.
So, and when we talk about, I suppose, albums that were not well thought of at the time and now they are, I think this could be in that department, I suppose.
Hmm.
And it's Black Sabbath featuring Tony Iommi, whatever it was called back then, and Seventh
Featuring
Star.
Glenn Hughes.
Featuring Glenn Hughes. Seventh Star, which was one of my favourite Black Sabbath albums. I'm afraid, Black Sabbath fans. I absolutely love this album. And I'm not a massive, I know Glenn Hughes is a great singer, and I can understand how good he is now. But I never, the stuff he usually plays on, I've never really been into, like Deep Purple. I don't like the bluesy stuff he's in now. I've never really, but on this album, I just think he was just outstanding. And if you actually look at this track listing, In for the Kill's brilliant, by the way. I love that opening track. It's so metal, that track. I do like No Stranger to Love, but it's, even for I like my ballad man, and it's okay. It's all right. Turn to Stone was okay. Then you got like this little you got Sphinx the Guardian, which is just a 1 minute intro to Seventh Star. Seventh Star's pretty good as well. But then side B is just all killer. You got Danger Zone, which is what that riff is just outstanding. Heart Like a Wheel, which is probably the weakest one for me because of the bluesy side of it, but an outstanding vocal performance by Glenn Hughes. Angry Heart and In Memory as almost like like one track in two. They are, well, that's Mark Clover's favourite song ever, I think. Both of them together.
All
And
right.
I just feel now to close it out like that is just outstanding. So for me, it's quite an easy one. Side B is the better one for me. So yeah, Seventh Star by Black Sabbath. There you go.
Brilliant.
Featuring Tony
No,
Iommi.
I'm glad you're championing that one again because it really is probably regarded as a lot of people would probably say that that's the weakest album in the entire Black Sabbath catalog, except for
Apart from
Forbidden, maybe. But
yeah.
but it just goes to show that even the ones that people think are just terrible, they're complete fans of.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why I hate when bands do that sometimes, when they'll talk about albums in their past and ones that maybe weren't so successful, so they think it's okay to like talk shit about them. And but God, you're denying all these people that bought that record and may love it. Then you're just telling them that their taste is shit. If oh, we made a mistake, or I wasn't in the best headspace. Well, just any excuses because it didn't sell 10 million records.
Yeah.
It's not always the best sellers that are the best of a catalog. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just don't like when they do that. They should should say everything has its place. And
Okay.
fans, you never know what fans are going to love.
And it's not only that, but all the people that worked on the album too. I mean,
Of course.
you just, well, whatever I did was shit. Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
No, agreed. That has totally been forgotten about in the Sabbath catalog, really. That hasn't
Oh
it?
yeah.
It's not even looked at as a Sabbath album half the time.
No, no. I mean, it was supposed to be a solo album, wasn't it? And then
mm, mm.
they made him put the name on it or something.
Well, we've done our five. I don't really. I know I've got two honourables. I know Todd had a list of many,
37.
so we can run through some of them. But I'm only going to do two. Have you got any, Don?
Yeah, I've got two. I've got two older ones. These two I feel pretty strongly about. They're both slam dunks for me. My first one is Def Leppard Hysteria, where talk about just front loaded with all the poppy animal and all that kind of stuff on side A. But side B, you got Gods of War, you've got Run Riot. I can still listen to those songs and not be offended. There's a couple of the slower ones towards the end, Love and Affection, things like that. But I mean, compared to that first side, I think the second side still represents the kind of progression from Pyromania without going too far. I mean, Run Riot's one of my favorite Def Leppard songs. I just think that song is fantastic. Get up, break out. That's a really good one. And that could have fit on Pyromania as far as I'm concerned. So that was still, they were still giving it some on side two. And then my other one is the one I always bring up. It's 1994's Motley Crue with John Corabi. I think this album would have done so much better with a different track listing or a different track order, because it opens on a mid tempo with that power to the music, and then Uncle Jack's another kind of mid tempo, and then Hooligans Holidays another mid tempo, and then Misunderstood, which is a great ballad, but again it starts out very slow. Like there's just nothing really grabby about that first side, or the first few songs at least. And I think if they would have just even switched them, Till Death Do Us Part and Hammered and Smoke the Sky and just all of those tracks, I think that would have been, I would think people would have given that a much bigger shot if they didn't hear those first three songs and just think, this is kind of boring. They're kind of, those first three songs just sound like musicians are kind of jamming. Yeah. And then they just kind of get a song together. It just doesn't have that kind of immediacy. Yeah. Whereas side two just has all the barnstormers. As far as I'm concerned, I just think that was a missed opportunity for them.
Probably haven't listened to the Brew one enough to have that opinion, but definitely agree on the Def Leppard one. I mean, I think even Love and Affection is the best ballad on there. Do you know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for sure. So, or the one that I haven't heard as much, probably. That's one of them. So, yeah, some great choices there, mate. Thank you very much. Thank you. And great list altogether. All right, Todd, what you got, mate? Anyone you particularly want to talk about?
All right, I'm going to try to get through a few of these, but I'm going to do them rapid fire. Okay, so I'm not going to take up a lot of time. Bryan Adams' Reckless, Kids Wanna Rock, and Ain't Gonna Cry are two favorite songs on there on side two. The Cult Electric, you got Love Removal Machine and several other great songs on side two. You've got this was I kind of thought about Number of the Beast, but I always go back to the title song and Hallowed Be Thy Name's an epic track. It's all on side two. Creatures of the Night, I'm going to go with that because I think side two is more consistent. I love It Loud. It's one of my favorites Kiss songs. Dominic's going through his head and determining whether he wants to be happy or sad about that.
Oh no, it's your opinions, not mine.
You got Look at the Cat Dragged In. I think side two is significantly better.
Oh, that's a nice looking women on that one. Whoa.
I know it. Yeah. So yeah, I love the song "Look What the Cat Dragged In," but all of side two is I think much
number
better.
One, Bad Boy. That's a good one.
Yeah, oh yeah, and I love Talk to Me. I never get tired of that either. But yeah, the whole side two I think is good. I got Queen Jazz. The big hits of course are on side A, but I love the way it opens up with Dead on Time. That's one of my favorite rockin' Queen songs. Of course, it's got Don't Stop Me Now is on there on side two. Rhino Bucket, get used to it. Every
Hmm?
song on side two is outstanding. Beat to Death Like a Dog's my favorite song, and it's on
Yeah,
side
great
one, but I
song.
think everything else is on side two on that one. Sticks, um, Pieces of Eight, and you got Renegade and Blue Collar Man are both on side two of that. You got Diver Down, and which is a little bit of a controversial one, maybe because all of the short, goofy ones are on side two. But I like them, and good little guitars, and the Full Bug is my favorite song on the album.
I mean, it's got little guitars, so you can't.
Yeah,
That's my
exactly.
favorite
Yeah,
Van Halen song of all time.
Yeah, it's
great
amazing. It's a
song.
great song,
Great song.
and then a little intro to it. Yeah, it's great. And then you got Who. Who's next? Behind Blue Eye. It
Oh,
ends with, there's great songs on both sides, but it ends with Behind Blue Eyes and Won't Get Fooled Again. And How Can You Go Wrong?
no, really can't.
Those are
Thanks,
mine.
mate. Much
Good,
appreciated.
Todd.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great.
That was rapid fire as well. It's quite cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, okay, well, I've got two. The last one from 1986. This is a hard one because this for me is one of the. It's very close to perfect. This album all the way through. Queensryche, A Rage for Order. I mean, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? If you think about the songs on this album, but you'll understand in a minute, hopefully. So, Walk in the Shadows is one of my favorite songs ever. I Dream in Infrared is perfect. The Whisper is perfect. You've got Gonna Get Close to You, which is one of the best covers I've ever heard. But it's still not them, is it? It's not their
It's
song.
so good you didn't even know it was a cover.
I didn't know it was a cover way back then, but it's still a cover. So, but the Killing Words is brilliant, and Surgical Strike is pretty good. You know, like you're talking 8.5 out of 10 probably. But then you just go to side two and you've got New Regal, which is, I think that could be my favourite Queensryche song ever. You know,
Wow.
Chemical Youth is almost weird but brilliant, very proggy. London, which is one of my favourite Queensryche songs, and Screaming Digital is as well. And then you've got the brilliant, like atmospheric and soft and perfect I Will Remember on the end. So, I mean, the album is just from beginning to end is excellent. But I think side two, just for me, just scrapes it on there. What do you reckon on that one?
Well, I know it's probably your favorite album of all
It
time.
is.
So I respect your opinion on that. I'll take your word for that one.
Okay. And then
I think
my
the better
last,
song,
sorry.
in my opinion, I think still the better songs are on side A on that
Yeah.
one. But
Okay.
there are great songs throughout.
Yeah, that argument could be had all day. That one. It's just a one
Any
of those.
excuse to mention Rage for Orderly. Jesus.
Probably. And this one was quite a hard one as well because it's a great album again. It's my favourite album of 1987, actually. Do you remember what that is? If you watch, obviously Dom will remember because he just watches all my videos 20 times a day.
Oh yeah,
But
I've got them all memorized. Absolutely.
it's Lizzie Borden and Visual Lies. So what a great album. I mean, I love Me Against the World, which is side A, by the way. I was never blown away by Shock. I never really was really. I liked it, but Outcast is excellent. Den of Thieves is okay, but it's like I prefer him when he slows it down a little bit. And Visualize, of course, is good. The title track, but then you got side two. You got Eyes of a Stranger. Oh,
Great song. Yeah.
and you got Lord of the Flies. That is just brilliant. Then you got Voyeur, I'm Watching You. That is just amazing. And then you got Visions on the end, the epic Visions. So.
Yeah. Couple
Yeah,
classics on that side.
them four tracks in a row are just perfect for me. So yeah, Lizzie Borden, Visualize.
Excellent.
Guys?
I think we did well.
Good pick.
I really enjoyed that actually because we get to talk about albums in depth, which is not we don't usually do that so often. So because there's less of us, obviously as well.
Yeah.
But
my mission was accomplished just by letting Todd know who Cats in Space are. So that's fine.
I've been told
that's all.
that
That really makes it for me. And hopefully somebody else out there might discover somebody else. But that's the reason that I did what I did, was just to try to expose band. So if Todd can discover another band that I think he'll really like, there you go.
Yeah, you've
I
only
need to
just
keep buying more albums. So that's like
yeah,
Yeah, you definitely need more CDs. Absolutely.
yeah. You've only just cost him about what is it, 8 albums, 100 maybe.
Yeah. Well, try one and see if you think that
Yeah.
it's up to.
I'd be lucky if I can get a hold of them though. If they're a British band, it's hard to find some of these things that probably never released in.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure what the release has been in the States for them, but
They play quite local to me as well, Cats in Space. They do. So.
oh, do they? I've never seen them live, but
Yeah, yeah. But guys, absolutely fantastic show. I love that. Really interesting. You enjoy it? Yeah, it's good, wasn't it?
it was good. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully, we can think of other interesting things to talk about.
Well, it was quite hard to do. So if anyone is watching this and they want to join in, expect it not to be that easy, but it is a very cool concept. Thank you for that, Todd. Guys, till next time. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.